We hiked up to the Monte Cristo ghost town in the North Cascades of Washington State and learned a lot about what used to be a booming mining town, became a resort, and then was abandoned. We'll share a little bit of the trails getting up there and how neat they are, and how someone looks like they took a jackhammer to them. The Monte Cristo ghost town is in the northern part of Washington State, and it's just east of Everett and just south of the North Cascades National Park. From Granite Falls, you'll head about 30 miles east on the Mount Loop Highway until you reach Barlow Pass. The entire hike is listed as about 8.5 miles out and back, which I think is mostly correct. When we were done with the entire hike, we had logged about 11 miles of hiking, but that was walking around part of the town and everything for a little while too. As you can see on this terrain map, the trail goes right through the valley, and so there's not much elevation gain at all. All trails listed as 597 feet total, and that's probably about right. The short ways in is your first information and message board, which shows a little bit about some of the trails around there as well. As you can see, the trail starts out pretty smooth, and you can see some interesting ways that some trees like to grow. About a mile in is a split off that'll take you up to Gothic Basin at Foggy Lake, but the trail continues on to Del Campo Peak, which is about a 4,300 foot elevation gain and a 10-mile round trip itself. Before too long, the trail starts to get a little rough as it goes through the woods like this, but some of it uses a bridge like this from the old road. So one side note here is that we did this hike in the fall, and as I'm putting this video together in the springtime, Google Maps is indicating some temporary closures. I'm guessing because of snow melt and river runoff. So as we zoom in here, you see that the bridge is temporarily closed as well as a few campgrounds. About 2 miles in is an intersection to another road. We didn't go down it, but when we looked it up later, All Trails shows it as about 3/4 of a mile longer. And maybe it's a bit easier on mountain bikes because we saw a lot of people on those. Up to this point, the trail hasn't been that hard anyway. Since originally Monte Cristo was accessed by railroad when it was a mining town and then turned into a resort and accessed by roads, a lot of the trail is pretty smooth like this. But then there's a long section of it that looks like the target of a focused earthquake that completely obliterated it, making it pretty hard to hike along, so make sure you wear some good sturdy shoes, especially for this section. As you get further up the trail and closer to the town, you start getting some pretty spectacular views. On the All Trails map, numbers 5, 6, and 7 all denote campgrounds, although I think their placements are a little off. Around where number 5 is a washout from the river, and it exposes the rail line that used to be there that the road covers now. And when you get a little further up the trail, you see number 7 split off to the left. Shortly before you get to the town, you start to see some informational boards. And there really isn't electricity out there, but there are some sections of private property outside town, which may or may not actually have mail service. Just past those is an informational board that makes you think that you're just about there, and you kind of are, but there's still a nice long stretch of trail to go. And once you get to the end of that, it's right across the bridge and you're there. Approaching a bit more of the ghost town of Monte Cristo. The town itself offers some great views and lots of information, so here are a few shots to give you an idea of just what you'll find. I hope this video has been helpful for you to plan your trip to go visit the Monte Cristo ghost town. It was a pretty fun hike. And as you get there, read all the signs and learn about the history of it. And if you still have the energy, some food and drink, the Glacier Basin Trail continues past the town.